Hiya, my name is Anya, I'm 21 and I'm currently studying at the University of Sunderland. And if you can't tell from the stuff beside me, I am a furry. But what is a furry, you're probably wondering? The furry, or the furry fandom, basically stems from the love of anthropomorphic characters. You're probably wondering what an anthropomorphism really is. It basically means animals with human characteristics. So animals that can walk, talk, and communicate just like a human. So you probably see this in popular animated cartoons and movies like Lion King, Zootopia, Robin Hood, all that kind of stuff. So it's very common to see in animated children films.
What the fandom means to me is it's it's an important part of my life, because what the furry fandom is that it's a collection of people with different interests, such as cars, DJing, motorbikes, photography, aircraft, that sort of thing, from all walks of life, but you're all brought together to party, hang out, even just meet new people through this one common interest, which is the furry fandom. And it's absolutely wild with the fandom how many different people it is. You could have a case of someone working at Tesco, or someone working, for your local council doing IT work, all the way through to working, in nuclear physics, that sort of thing. It's absolutely wild, the vast range of people that you have within this fandom.
For me, I go by Electro, and that's just my own personal character that I made myself, based around art and creativity. It can even come down to dance competitions, making music, DJing at conventions, all that kind of stuff. It's just all around lots of fun for people to express themselves without being judged, basically. So, how exactly did I become part of this fandom? It started around 2016. I was just young, I was scrolling through YouTube, and a video came up in my recommendations of a fursuit dance competition at Confuzzled. I ended up watching the video and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I went through the recommendations that YouTube recommended after that video, and I was absolutely hooked. People dancing in fursuit, doing fursuit tutorials on how to make them, speed paints of people drawing and making their characters, all that type of stuff. Got into VR, virtual reality, and once I got into that, I was just bored and I was like, oh, there's a furry avatar there, it looks quite nice, so I jumped into it. Shrooky and Paladin. What exactly got you into the fandom?
Russia. Oh my god, this was some years ago. I used to watch a lot of cartoons as a kid, a lot of Disney movies. So was it Oliver and Company was one of them, Robin Hood, and all those kinds of shows. And I just really enjoyed it. That's just kind of what I vibe with as a kid. And later on down the line, just see this bit of artwork online, just some fan art of some of these characters, and then it just leads me to a website, and it's just oh, this is a thing. This is where there's people out there who actually make characters of themselves, of these different animal people, and just thought, this seems like my jam, and the rest is history at this point.
So I've been in the fandom since about 2006, and I just sort of, I guess, stumbled upon it on a internet message board, which then led on to me finding out about the fandom through DeviantArt, and that's where I spent most of, I guess, the early years of being in the fandom. Was on DeviantArt, and then through some games such as Feral Heart, Habbo, weirdly. I don't know how that one worked out, but it was there. So this was sort of like the early days for me. Yeah, and it was just a case of at the time I didn't really know meets and all that existed until about 2013. So it was mainly just sort of browsing the artwork, like going on the message boards, on the forums, that sort of thing. And then I went to my first meet in 2013. Ended up starting attending my first conventions and stuff like that around sort of 2022, and that's how you got stuck with me.
Conventions are another big aspect of the fandom. It's basically a 4-5 day event in which people within the community come together to celebrate the fandom. People fursuiting, having a few drinks or laugh with each other, people running panels depending on the theme of the event. I've been to a good few conventions, my most recent one being ScotiaCon 2024, in which I actually had the opportunity to DJ in front of a live crowd, which was pretty much amazing.
Yeah, furry conventions are some of the biggest single donations that most of these charities get. You know, charities, they might get a few donations a year of, you know, 10, 15, 20 quid, maybe at lucky, you know, £1,000. And then, you know, you get like a con like ScotiaCon or Confuzzled that'll just drop like 40, 50,000 pounds. I think Confuzzled last year, they hit a point where 2 charity over the time that they have run have donated over £1 million to charity. You don't really hear about that in the media. As Paladin was saying, you just don't hear about that in the media. You just hear the negatives.
It was ScotiaCon 2023, if I remember. It was raised over nearly 50 grand, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah,
For one single charity,
Sounds
not
about
multiple,
right.
but just one single charity that the con was basically sponsoring, type of thing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the charity auctions at these conventions are
It's
just
generous.
insane. People pay £1,000 for a can of beans just to donate it to charity.
Yeah, some of the
Yeah.
stuff that goes for
Oh, yeah.
auction.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
always
like there
the
was like
silliest thing.
Confuzzled. Like literally, like I remember, like you know those like small packet cereals you get when you're a kid, like the ones in the multi-pack. They sold like an empty box of Frosties for over £2,000. That was it. That was the charity auction. Just this box of Frosties, and that was it. It was then, and they just made so much.
That's
For a box of Frosties.
See, we're always doing stupid things, but it's usually for a good cause.
Earlier I mentioned about fursuits. Fursuits are another big part of the community. It's basically, if you've heard of cosplaying, it's like cosplay, but you're dressing up as a big fluffy animal. So basically a fursuiting is you can buy or make your own fursuit of your custom character or fursona, like I have here. This is my fursuit of Electro, and basically recently me and my mum actually made this fluffy being into a full suit, which is basically head to toe in fur. No human aspects at all. It's basically all animal, but walking and talking like a human. So yeah, my mum was a big help with making that.
I'm Claire. I'm Anya's mum. Okay, right. She asked me to make a suit. I thought, oh my God, what have I let myself in for here? So we did a bit of research on how to make the suit. Going off internet. Great thing, internet. It was a case of, right, let's have a go at this. So we went and we bought about 4 rolls of duct tape, because we had to make a duct tape model of Anya. So she stood in the middle of the room where we duct taped her head to foot in duct tape. We had then cut the duct tape model off her, and I had a bodysuit made out of duct tape, which then had to be kind of stuffed. Oh heck, another problem, what do we stuff it with? So The next we came up with the answer, oh, newspaper. Let's do it with newspaper. So we stuffed it with newspaper. So this took another day or so to do. By this time it's like, I'm regretting letting myself in for this project. But never mind, let's keep going. So the duct tape model was then chopped into the pattern, which we could lay over the fur and stitch together. So I ended up hand sewing it. Here's me sitting at 4 o'clock in the morning and stitching this all together. But it was worth it in the end. It was worth it. The only problem is we're now still picking up fur off the floor from making the fursuit.
I was honestly surprised she even agreed to help me make the fursuit, because usually in the fandom, sadly, because there's quite a big LGBTQ element to it, a lot of parents disown their kids as soon as they find out they're a part of this community, because unfortunately in the media there is a lot of negativity towards the fandom, that we're all sex-craved maniacs, we want to have sex with animals, and that we're paedophiles and that, but that's simply not the case at all. The media's just painted such a massive negative image onto the fandom just because we're different. It gets to the point, basically, even at conventions, at places where we're meant to feel safe with one another, it can be at times where we don't feel safe anymore. Like, there was a convention, Confuzzled 2023, that was at, where fursuiters or people at the convention were not allowed to walk back and forth from their hotel because there were people physically attacking us just because we were wearing costumes. So we weren't allowed to go anywhere just because we were just being ourselves.
So this is an interesting one that's always been brought up as long as the fandoms existed. So my mum actually said a really good point with this, is that any interest that has adults in it of legal age is going to have sexual aspects to it. There is absolutely no doubt about that. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, the Star Trek fandom, Star Wars. I can't think of many other fandoms, not gonna lie. But it's one of those things, and I think it depends on the community of the country that you're in. I've had experience with a lot of communities, and I feel like Europe and the UK being a bit more of an open country, I would not say that the fandom is openly as sexual. With maybe the US community, I would say it's a little bit more, because the fandom is a safe place for people to express themselves, whichever that is, within reason. But at the same time, I think the media can overdo it a little bit. Yeah, I think it can be overstated a bit, but there is no lying that it is a thing, and it goes back to the whole thing of, if there's adults in a fandom or an interest, there is going to be sexual stuff within it.
And another big event that happened, this was quite a while ago, but it left quite a toll on the fandom, was an American con called MFF in 2014. Someone, we don't know who did it, it was never discovered. There was a chlorine gas attack which caused an entire evacuation of the hotel and a complete standstill to the convention. And if that wasn't bad enough, media portrayal of this was just an absolute joke. Media reporters were just laughing at the fact that people were injured and being sent to hospital. But just because, oh, we are wearing fluffy animal costumes, it's a funny story. No, it's not. Just because we're different and just want to express ourselves in a different way doesn't give people the right to harm us. It's not like we're doing anything harmful to them. We're just being ourselves.
Sent the hotel guests along with convention attendees into the cold night, many still dressed in their furry costumes. Costumes kept everybody warm was the good news. The hotel was
Where you going?
contaminated.
Hey!
Guests came back
Come
inside
back.
at 4 a.m. Police still
Come back.
the matter as a criminal
Could you
investigation.
check on Mika, see if she's okay? She's over there somewhere.
Mika has left the building.
All right.
Fursuiting just gives me a way to escape reality, become someone else, because when I'm fursuiting, no one really knows who's behind the mask, really. I'm a completely different person. I just become a big, fluffy, stupid dog, basically. And without this fandom, honestly, I don't know where I would have been, because before I was a part of the fandom in 2021, 2022, my mental state was in quite a bad place, I'll be honest, to the point where I was harming myself and my mind wasn't in a very good spot. And going back to my mum, she was the one who found this out, and she was there for us and supported us all the way through and helped us through that. And then I met all my friends, and they have really helped me out with this situation, because I don't think I've ever really been happier as I've ever been before. They're basically like another family to us. Overall, this fandom is a place of freedom, expression, where you can become someone else when really things aren't really the best for you. You can just become a silly animal online or jump onto VR, become someone different, like no one knows what you really look like. It's just a case of freedom and expression